jinxed it. Hey!
Finally.
I'm
So,
such an idiot. I should not have said anything, but I'm glad it worked.
this list is the hardest list I've ever made because I'm still torn between what is objectively some of the greatest horror films of all time and what I watch the most, which does not work with that list. So I think I could do this list two ways. Like I texted you, was that yesterday? But
Yep.
I'm going to go with my personal favorites. And I am doing one thing, which was extremely difficult for me because I'm a fan of major franchises. I'm only going to mention a franchise once in these 20. And that was really hard.
I did the same thing.
It was so hard.
I agree. I
So
agree.
hard. Oh my God.
I agree, man.
My honor, I have five, one, two, three, four, five, six honorable mentions. And that sucks for me because, like I said, I could do 30, 50, 100. This list is never ending.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I got a couple honorable mentions, and it's kind of a shame they didn't make the list. Some of them went from some of my most beloved movies as a child that I still love them, I still hold them close, but they just cannot make the top 20 because even though, like we were talking about, like our favorites are the ones we're going to be talking about, I got to leave some off the list just because they cannot compete with the classics that are on my list also. Like, you just can't take the quality out of some of these. Even if you enjoy a garbage movie, it can be on there. But sometimes it's just so great.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You can't help but put it on there.
There's two, maybe three, definitely two examples of that on my list. There's one that I'm still completely undecided that I have three options that I want to pick from, which really sucks for me. And I'll go more into that when we get to that one. And probably make an off-the-hip decision, which will probably be the wrong one to set the world on fire. But that's fine, right?
Right.
Right.
Well, okay, so real fast, I'll just run through my honorable mentions because I'm just going to spitball them real fast, if that's all right. So
Yep.
I would say Quarantine. I love Quarantine. I loved the new Invisible Man. I'm going to throw that on there as an honorable mention, but it's so new that, I'm just going to leave it up there. The Descent is a phenomenal movie. We talked about that with our Final Girls list. And the Leprechaun, the original, is on there. And Army of Darkness is definitely high up on my honorable mentions. And of course, I mean, we could keep going. I mean, I have so many movies behind me that I would just throw up there, but
Yeah.
I'll stop there because I'll just start rambling on in the Hitcher, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? There's just so many.
It never ends. Like this list, we could be here all night. I could put every horror movie I own on this list for the most part.
Deb's in the chat real quick. She said, "Yep, I sent John the list last time. There are ones I watched the most, but not what are the best exactly." And I'm kind of excited for some reason about how high her Saw is on hers. I think it was number 1, number 2, pretty sure. It's really cool in that when she talks about Saw, like it gets me excited, makes me want to blast through the franchise. But I'm scared to do that because I can't just watch one Saw movie. If I start one, doesn't matter which one I throw in, I will watch all of them within the next as soon as possible.
I think it's crazy because most recently it's been a couple years. I'm sure I've talked about it on here before. I stopped at 3 and hated everything else. And then when Jigsaw came out, I decided to go ahead and give everything else a shot. And I had this newfound love for Saw 4. And I think since I've watched the Saw movies again, 4 is the one that I always start with for some reason. But I don't know, man. It's crazy. Saw has worked its way up to my top 5 horror franchises. Like, it just has.
And especially where everybody bashes it. And I understand, if you want to bash it, go for it. I get it. I completely... Yeah. But, for as fast as they were spitting them out, and then if you look at the intertwining storyline, like I understand some of it kind of goes downhill, like cheesy-wise, and the gore kind of goes downhill. It gets ramped up, but quality kind of goes down. I get that, but the amount of quality they were able to hang on to for spitting them out every year blows my mind. It just
Oh
blows,
yeah,
like,
it's
it's crazy.
fascinating.
That's probably the best. I mean, it's better than any Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street that they were spitting out a year after year after year. Like, it's impressive, the consistency.
Yeah. Um, so I guess I'll knock my honorable mentions out of the way. Um, God, like John said, I could keep going on this list.
Yeah.
Um, this one would be a repeat, and that's the reason it's on honorable mentions. I couldn't put it in the list because it's got other entries above it, but that's Freddy versus Jason. That movie, I cannot explain how awesome it is to be alive in a time where that movie got made, and I get to enjoy it from, I was like 13 when it came out. So since I was 13 years old, I'm 31 right now. That's a long time I've had with the movie. I watch it a lot. I love that movie. So Freddy vs. Jason has to be on the honorable mentions for me just because it's visited so often. It's an anytime
Absolutely.
movie for me. I can watch it at any point, no matter what mood I'm in. And it gives you Jason and Freddy. So if you're in the mood for a little bit of both,
Yeah.
gotcha. My next honorable mention, and this is going to piss John off, is The Shining. The Shining
Ooh.
is a fantastic horror movie, but for some reason, I just don't watch it enough to make my top 20. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the movie. There's nothing wrong with. I love it. It's amazing, but it just didn't quite make my top 20.
It's funny because,
Um,
like, I have a
yeah,
love-hate relationship with The Shining, where the acting is some of the best acting you'll see. The cinematography is some of the best cinematography you'll ever see. The story has depth to it, but it's very surface level. Like, there's a lot more going on to where it lets you chew on a lot, but they could have put in a lot more. So it's something where it's like,
well,
it blows my mind, and then at the same time, I think it's overrated to a degree. It's weird.
after reading the book and then watching the movie, and then I've made it about halfway through the series,
Love the
I
miniseries.
can. The book is ridiculously great, and it makes the Stanley Kubrick film horrible in a way, but great on its own merits. It's so weird, but The Shining had to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, the Taking of Deborah Logan. This movie is what got me back into like the haunted possession things like that, because for years I couldn't handle watching them because I just felt they were boring.
Mhm.
I think it's something to do with, I can see somebody breaking into your home and killing you as more likely than somebody possessing you and trying to eat your head off. So, it possession movies didn't work for me for so long, or ghost movies or poltergeist movies, whatever. And then Taking of Deborah Logan was, I sat down, I put it on one day while I was writing a paper. And I used to watch movies in the background or listen to music while I was writing papers and through college. And I messed up and I lost that 2 hours just watching the movie. And it was the first time that semester that I did that. So that movie got me back into that type of horror. So I couldn't quite put it on my list, but the fact that it reintroduced me to a specific genre, that's a lot. That says a lot.
Yeah.
Um, oh, this one hurts. Hatchet. I thoroughly love Hatchet. It's more on the comedy horror spectrum. The whole franchise is not quite top 20, but definitely gets an honorable mention for me just because of the creative kills, the suspense, the comedy, and all of the nods to the rest of the horror genre. Hatchet. And finally, and I'm missing a lot. So just remember, I've
Right.
got a collection, John's got a collection, I'm missing a lot. My last honorable mention is one of the best horror films of all time ever made. And I will not challenge that, but it doesn't make my top 20. That's The Exorcist.
Exorcist. I called it.
It is. If this list was different, if this was best horror films of all time, it would easily be top 3. But this is my personal favorites. So I give it the respect it deserves. It's far better than half the movies on my list, if not more than. But it deserves to be somewhere on here, in my opinion.
It's so funny because The Exorcist spoiler is on my top 20, but it's funny because it started towards the top, and then like I won't spoil exactly where it is, but like we were talking about last week with Final Girls, it was like Plinko, where I was like, I hold you in such high regards, but when I have to put you up against others, duke, 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 and I'm
Yep,
like, oh dang, I did not see that coming.
absolutely. Yeah, like it's kind of crazy too, because looking at my list, seeing how many of these movies came out like 2000 or later is kind of wild. It shows that I was at that right age where they caught me. And of course, some of them are before then, but paying attention to that 2000 or later, it's like I'm a new age horror fan, I guess. I didn't realize it
That's
until I saw how much outweighed my list.
Well, that's great too, because like you said, like you have a lot of love, or like first time viewing of in the theater of Resurrection, so you have a lot of love for that movie. It's awesome that you have a lot of love for the bad, and if you got love for the bad, well then it only gets better. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's I think you're in a good spot. Yeah, if you love one of the worst times in horror, that's fantastic because it's all
Yeah.
love after that. Like
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh, all
So is
right,
your
man.
top pick
Now,
Valentine?
right, right. No, I should have given that honorable mention just to piss you off. But no, so I will say that on some of mine, and I want to give one more honorable mention too. I want to give an honorable mention to Misery. Misery is one of the first horror movies I ever saw as a kid. And to this day, the building of tension, the slow build, like the delivery, just the isolated, cold feeling, and just being at somebody else's mercy. Misery should have been on my honorable mention. I want to throw that one out. I did look at it like 6 times to make the list, but some of mine on my list are horror light. And now what I'm going to say that is some of that is like an introduction to horror. Like if you want to say that's not a horror movie, that's a biblical science fiction action, whatever. You're right. I'm wrong. I totally agree that. But some of these on here are so instrumental in my love for horror that they need to be on my top 20. I
Yep.
understand if you don't agree with that. I completely do. Just delete mine and
Yep.
make it top 15.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. And one last honorable mention I want to throw out because like you were saying, the same reasons is High Tension. That movie came out at a perfect time for me to see it and be uncomfortable in a movie. Like that was the first time that I saw a horror movie that it wasn't like I was scared. I was just genuinely uncomfortable through the whole film. And that kind of introduced me to a new feeling in horror. So uh, I looked at High Tension and I was really, really, really thinking about putting it on the list. But some of these, they just, for whatever reason, I mean, memories, some of them are just like staples in the horror genre, but I couldn't quite put High Tension on that list.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that movie breathe just a little bit, and then probably about a year I'll come back to it, and I think it'll be even better a second time. But I really liked it. I just thought, yeah, got it. But there's very few horror movies these days that seems like I cannot wait to turn around and watch it again. Like that's why I said The Invisible Man. When I watched that, can't wait to watch that again. That's kind of horror light. Or the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Could not wait to watch that again.
I actually
So
watched
yeah,
part of it today.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so you want to start? Or do you want me to kick it off?
I don't know. That's up to you.
I'm gonna let you start. I want to see what your 20 is. Let's see.
My number 20 is my favorite horror anthology film, and a recent find within the past 5-ish years, and that is Southbound. It is such a weird, oddly paced, strange anthology film, but it is all interconnected. I don't think John's seen it. I do highly recommend it. It's probably not the best anthology film ever made, but it definitely captured my attention, and I still need to add it to my collection very, very badly. I just, for whatever reason, it's never cheap when I go to actually purchase films. So Southbound gets my number 20, and I won't spoil it, but gonna want to. I want to so bad, so good.
Oh, Caleb didn't really sell that very well. I love how he's like, it's not paced oddly, but it does interconnect. You just didn't spice it up very well. I love movies, though, that you can tell that it's not exactly the best thing on the planet, but it gets you, and you
Yeah.
get it, and you just have that
Yep.
connection where it's not necessarily the best, but it just flows for you. I see what you're saying there, but it's just funny how
Yeah.
you're like, man, you almost talked yourself. It's just funny how
It's
it's just funny.
it's an extremely unique experience that I think is absolutely worth it. And it's funny because the last time I mentioned Southbound to anybody, I think I was on the Killer Flicks page, and they were like, and people were like, "Oh yeah, that one. Nobody ever talks about that one. That one's so good. I can't believe that one always slips through the cracks." And I'm like, "Not here, it doesn't."
Well, let's see. My number 20. It's probably the best horror movie overall for the generic public in the past 20 years, and that's The Conjuring. Uh, it's loosely based. How I'm not going to get into that, but it's loosely based on a true story. I love the love story between Ed and Lorraine. Lorraine is on my top 10 final girls. Spoiler for that, but I love her as a final gal, in my opinion. The family dynamic, the clap thing, the wardrobe, the house and everything, like the Elvis scene, I think, is in that one, right? Like the whole movie from start to finish is a horror classic. It's a horror
And
classic. It's great.
I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of the Conjuring universe, but the first Conjuring film is brilliant,
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, hands down. After I saw The Taking of Deborah Logan, I started digging into some B-rated films, and that's when I found like Session 9 and a couple other fun films. But the original Conjuring, when I found that, I was blown away. That was really good, really well done. It doesn't make my list, but it's a really good movie.
Yeah, Deb's talking about the jump scares, and then reaffirmed
Mhm.
my fear of the dark basements. Dude, when that match goes out in the basement, it's one of the scariest theater experiences of my life, just because everybody knows that feeling. Like
Yeah.
everybody, oh my god, that movie, dude, so good. James
Yeah.
Wan, he's a master. He's a master of horror.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a good rap sheet. Him and Lee
Yeah,
Wanell. I mean, come on.
yeah. There's
It's
an
just
argument that
great.
Lee Wanell is actually a better director, but I won't argue that today.
I'm not going to get into that argument because they both, I mean,
Right.
they
I'm not
started
trying to
together.
undercut anybody. I'm just saying that, yeah, like you're saying, Lee Wanell, you can make an argument that they're just right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, wow, number 19. This one is a very weird pick, but I found it again at the perfect age. I want to say I was 8 or 9, and that is D. Snyder's Strangeland. I love this weird movie. Um, it totally plays on that whole media from the 90s of, if you got tattoos, piercings, and listen to heavy metal, you're the devil, or you worship the devil, or whatever. And as a goth metalhead kid, it was perfect because it was like puking that back out into film. And D. Snyder was the perfect person to do it. It's his brainchild. He's the main bad guy. Um, and he's genuinely creepy throughout the film. Um, I am sad we never got the sequel. He's pitched the sequel probably every 2 or 3 years since this one came out, and nobody picked it up. Last I heard 2 years ago, HBO was in talks for it, and then their COVID strike hit, so it's one of the many things lost in the background, which I think they would be smart to pick it up sooner rather than later, since, Halloween Ends, Halloween Kills, Candyman, all the re-uptake interest in horror about a killer is happening. I think that would be a smart move on their part. But, yeah. Strangeland. John, have you seen that?
I think I saw it a while back, but I honestly just don't remember anything about it. Like there was a time where I was just blowing through horror movies, and I would need to watch it again. I don't know why I don't. Yeah,
Also,
I'm
the
sure I did.
soundtrack is
Yeah.
awesome. Man, that
Let's see.
that one made my list.
My number 19. Let's see. Keep in mind, this is horror light, but that's American Psycho. It's awesome, start to finish, iconic, memorable, repeatable. It's just so great. Christian Bale's maybe best performance. I would have loved to see what
Mhm.
Leonardo DiCaprio would have done in the role, but the whole movie's fantastic. The inner monologue, I love movies like that. Yeah, start to finish, great. Willem Dafoe's awesome in it. Yeah, everybody in it's awesome. So I just bought it on 4K a while back, and I just have not had a chance to sit down and watch it. But I can't wait. The best part of the whole movie is probably the business card scene. Like, oh my God, there's a watermark. Like just that soft, insane voice, so good.
It's a solid movie. I caught on to it late. Everybody around me had seen it for whatever reason. I hadn't. And then I saw an edited for TV version, and I thought it kind of sucked. And then I finally saw the full film and really enjoyed it. And I can see why it's a classic and a staple among horror fans, thriller fans, dark comedy fans. Like it fills so many little boxes that it's a great movie. I need to revisit it. You, I believe, gifted me a copy of that. Yep, I'm looking at it right now. I need to revisit it. The sequel is not worth your time unless you just need to kill an hour and a half. It's funny, but it's not good.
Mia Kunis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
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 Straight to DVD.
Yep.
Yep.
The cover's cool.
It is. It is. It's totally a knock on the first film's cover.
Right.
Well, this pick's weird for me. I had to really, really think about my 18, which is, a weird spot to think about over and over and over again. It doesn't deserve top. It doesn't deserve middle, so it fell here, and that is The Ring. That's right, the American version of The Ring. When this movie came out, my cousin and I saw it in theaters. It was awesome. And then when it came out on VHS, my parents rented it. We watched it. It was awesome. Then I bought the VHS with that like clear case that had the squiggly lines. I loved it. And now I'm super sad I don't own that anymore. I hadn't watched it in years. And then I want to say about 6 months ago, I was like, I need to watch The Ring. And I could not believe how much I still absolutely enjoyed that movie. That film signifies like a certain number of years in my life, like how much I watched it, how much it was talked about, the group of people I was with, and how much that film was a topic. So The Ring had to be on my list.
The Ring is one of those movies where it was kind of cool for me because growing up as a kid in middle school and stuff like that, like nobody really was into horror, so it was really annoying. Like I had to watch all of it, but then when like The Ring and The Grudge and like all these movies started coming out that like people were actually getting hooked on, it kind of was cool because everybody was kind of getting into horror when I was in high school and stuff like that. And so The Ring is kind of important to me to a degree because it's one of those movies that got everybody else interested, and I could be like the nerd that was like, hey, but have you seen all these movies? So yeah. Number 12, Gem and the Holograms. I've never seen it. I don't know. It's not number 12. Spoiler.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No.
I'm going to look that up, though. I don't have a pencil on me. Caleb, write it down.
Gem and the Holograms.
I'll look it up and probably get a virus on my phone from that.
Well, it'd be your fault for clicking on it.
That's true, too.
Yeah, man.
Let's see. So,
The Ring.
Oops, sorry.
No,
So
you're good. The Ring is just one of those movies that if you're a person who just wants to hate what everybody loves because everybody loves it, you're going to absolutely loathe that movie. But it's one of the remakes or Americanizations of a film that actually did well. The sequel's garbage. I have yet to finish Rings all the way through. I own all three. I don't know if I'll ever finish Rings, but I'll give it a chance. I got it for like $1 at Big Lots, so you
Nice.
know, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to
I'm
look
okay
on the
with
shelf
spending
at
a
least.
dollar on it. Yeah,
I'll look that
yeah.
up. Gem and the Hologram. My number. What is that? What are we on? The
18.
numbers are off. My number. No, 17. What? No, yeah, 2019, 18. You're right. You're right. My number 18 is The Exorcist. It's once again saw it at a very young age. Love it. You know, it was very religious growing up. Half my family is Catholic, so I love the the tradition. I love the of the Catholic Church in that movie and stuff like that. It's just interesting, the depth of it, the history. I love the family angle. I love the priest and his family angle and his loss of faith and like everything, all the torment. I love the action in the bedroom and stuff like that. Like it's from start to finish, it's one of the most iconic movies, and it's a movie you couldn't make today. All the stuff that people got hurt and like what they did to the actors, which I don't condone, but like it's the product is the product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't condone it, but look, it's there. You know what I mean? It's like Kubrick. He might treat you like crap, but look at the performance you get. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying it's one of the best. It's probably on most people's top 10, 20, whatever, because it deserves to be there. It's one of the greats.
Absolutely.
And I'm not really excited for the remake, but I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot. We still have the original if it sucks. So
I'm right there with you on that. Like I said, it was one of my honorable mentions, but that cannot take away from how great that movie is. I'm actually sad to report that I do not own any of the Exorcist films. It's been a problem. It's a hole in my collection. It has been for a while. I used to have the old DVD when they first released DVD of The Exorcist. It was the collector's edition with the extended cut or whatever. I had that. I don't know what happened to it, but
yeah, I'll keep my eye out then, because every once in a while at the pawn shop I see an extra copy. You need to get Exorcist 3. Exorcist 3 is, I mean, you know it, but Exorcist 3 is criminally underrated.
It really is. And I think it's because Exorcist 2 is kind of just slow and dry and kind of hard to get through. And then so people didn't watch Exorcist 3, and then once they do, they're like, holy crap, did she just walk across the ceiling?
Yeah. Yeah, I missed there's a jump scare. It's one of the best jump scares of all time. I missed it. I was sick as a dog, and I like looked down. I had a fever. I looked down, and like the music hits, and I was like, but I God dang it, I missed it. Ah, so disappointed.
It's a good one. Oh God, 17. 17 is a recent find.
How many Exorcist movies are there? Aren't there like 7? If you count the remake of whichever one that is, because they shot one and then they put it out there. It didn't do well. Then they had another director come in and redo it. So there's 2 different versions of the same movie. And then there's if you're counting the Exorcism of Emily Rose, if you're counting the Last Exorcism 2, I think it's like. Yeah, but I think there's like 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah, and then Dominion, and then
there's a lot. Dominion is that remake, or the redo of the one movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no.
It's kind of crazy.
Dominion is 3. Exorcist 3. They didn't want that final scene in there, and so they removed it. And that is the copy it's a DVD copy in the Scream Factory set. I'm sorry, I'm derailing you. I could be wrong. There's so much going on with that franchise. My bad, but there's a ton of movies, a
Yeah,
lot of
no.
information on those. Check
Exorcist,
it out. Got to see Exorcist 3. Skip Exorcist 2. It's absolute garbage sauce.
the Exorcist franchise is so very confusing, especially, and if you think that's confusing, get into the Amityville franchise, then you have no idea what's going on just because the word Amityville is not copyrighted by the film company. So other companies could make a film called Amityville whatever, and it's not
Isn't
actually
there like
connected
25 of
to
them?
Jesus, man. There's like 30 something of
Yeah.
them, and the next one's in space, which I kind of want to see just because it looks horrible.
They fire the house off into space. Sorry, my
Dude,
bad. I didn't
yeah,
mean to
I
interrupt
think
you.
I should. No, you're good. I think I shared the trailer on my Facebook a while ago. I'll send you the trailer after this is all over. I laughed so hard. I need to see it. It looks terrible. Um, so 17. This is a recent find, and I found it when I had the worst illness I've ever had in my life, and it was before people were talking about COVID. And based on the symptoms, I halfway believed that it was COVID. I was super sick. I couldn't sleep because I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't eat, and I couldn't swallow, and I couldn't drink. This whole thing. I'm just laying there searching Netflix and Hulu for horror movies, and I stumbled upon this, and I watched it like 3 times in a row, and that is The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
I
I
need to watch
could
that.
not believe how good it was. For a movie with so few settings, so few characters, and very dialogue heavy, it was really creepy. They did a really good job. The cast was amazing. The sets looked amazing. Transitions were great. The music was perfect. It just had all of the elements right. And I don't know if it's criminal to make a sequel or to not make a sequel. And I don't know. I'm of two minds about it, because if you make a sequel, you might ruin the greatness that is this. But if you don't, the way it ended, it's kind of like disheartening to know that nothing's been made since. So I won't spoil it because John hasn't seen it, but number 17 for me is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. There are very few horror movies that draw me in the way that did. Yeah, yeah,
I've been meaning to watch that. I've just been swamped with so much to A, do, and B, watch. But
yeah.
yeah, so let's see. So my number 17 will be, now this movie dropped hard in my lifetime because when I was probably 10 to 15, somewhere in there, it was like number one of all, well, not of all movies, but number one in horror, and that's From Dusk Till Dawn. I love the ride. I love the dialogue. I love the chemistry and the different characters. And then it's two different kinds of movies. You can feel the two different directors
Yeah.
really doing their things, and it's just a lot of fun. It's one of those movies where it's like, what do people want to see? Awesome characters, badass bikers, and away we go. Like, it's just fun from start to finish. It's to this day I love that movie. The second one is like barely watchable. The third one's okay, and then I think they did a fourth one. I never watched the series. I meant to, but I got to be selective with some of my stuff, and especially series. If it doesn't sell, I can't do it.
The series started out pretty strong, I can't lie, but it just took a few turns that I wasn't a fan of, so I stopped watching after the first season. I think I watched 1 or 2 episodes of season 2, maybe. It's been a while. But yeah, no, that is a super solid pick. I love that movie start to finish. The cast is amazing. Um, I cannot say enough about From Dusk Till Dawn, and I used to watch it all the time, absolutely all the time. That and John Carpenter's Vampires. It was like back to back to back to back. Loved those two. Spoilers, those two aren't even on my list. And it's not because I don't love them dearly. It's just because others topped out. But From Dusk Till Dawn, if you haven't seen it, you have to. Stop this video, go watch it, then come back. All 3 of you who are going to watch this.
So good, so good. All right, what's your next one?
So good. 16. So the first movie came out, God, 2003, 2004, somewhere in there. Campy, horror, fun, goofy, really cool kill scenes. And then the sequel came out years later, and I had no idea there was a sequel. And I found it as See No Evil 2. The
Ah.
first See No Evil is a goofy, fun horror movie, and that cell phone thing, I did not realize there was going to be a second one, and I don't think anybody really did. Then the Soska sisters got it. They did Rabid and American Mary and a couple other really, really good, like, indie horror films. They were able to get Kane back, and they got Danielle Harris, and they got Catherine Isabel. Like, they brought horror alumni to this franchise, and they made Jacob Goodnight horrifying in a new Jason-esque way that worked for his character, that you can see it going forward. It's not a movie you need to take super seriously, and if you watch the first one and then go into this one, you'll see how it improved. Man, like when he swings that chain down the hallway, oh God, it's so awesome. The mask is cool,
Yeah.
the outfit's cool. It's Kane from WWF, WWE, and sadly, since he's into politics now, we'll probably never get a third. Especially since he's
Another
retired
thing
from
ruined by politics.
wrestling. Yeah, I don't think that he'll go back to the gym that much to support that physique, but man, he looks horrifying. Like that in a dark alley, hell no. I am running as
Right.
fast as I can. So yeah, 16 is See No Evil 2. It is a fun horror movie that I absolutely love watching. It's one of the horror movies that I call an anytime movie, just like Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, I love it. Love that movie.
Yeah. Seriously, seriously, a lot of fun. Absolutely. This next one, my number 16, is, I think, pretty sure, the first horror movie I ever saw in theaters. Had a blast, love it to this day. Pretty sure it's criminally underrated. Everybody knows about it, but it's underrated in my opinion. And that is I Know What You Did Last Summer. Book predates Scream. The cast is great. I love the killer. I like the story. It's got some actual twists and turns to it. I would love, Caleb's looking at me right now, I would love to have the slicker outfit. I need to get on that because, I mean, the fisherman, he's awesome. And he should be iconic.
And nobody does that cosplay.
Nobody does. Nobody does. And I truly think if they would have had a third movie to really seal it up and to really make it a trilogy, there is a third movie. It does not count. I don't want to hear it. It doesn't count. It's absolute garbage. Never watch it. It does not count. It's somebody that had the rights and then threw a turd on the screen. No, absolutely not. It doesn't count. Anybody can make a better movie than that movie. It's trash. But anyway, I love I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah, I don't really have any negatives for that movie. I mean, I bet if we were watching, I did. It's something I kind of wanted to do a commentary on it because it's 4th of July is coming up, and you know it's a 4th of July horror movie, so it's great.
Let's do it.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, I've got it. Let's do it.
All right.
Maybe next week.
Maybe next week then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a nice, easy, relaxing one. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in forever, so
so good.
Solid pick. Nowhere on my list. Nowhere to be found. But I cannot say enough how much John needs to get that fisherman cosplay going, because dude, you would be the hit of a Crypticon, even probably Comic-Con. Like, dude, I'm saying it's rare, but people know what it is.
Where can you get one of those things, though? Like, where can you get an actual, like, raincoat, black, and then the hat? I mean, I guess it's probably not as hard as you think.
Give me 2 weeks, and I'll do some research. I know some people in the cosplay community throughout the southern states that have some of the most awesome horror cosplays. Let me work some magic, see what they got.
All right.
But yeah, that one is absolutely worth it. Even if it's not perfect, even if it's like subpar at best. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was his pick. I know what you did last summer, and I need him to cosplay as the fisherman. So now that we're over that segment that took entirely too long because I wouldn't shut up, my number 15 is part of a franchise. And oddly, it wasn't the hardest pick I ever made for the franchises, and that is Wolf Creek 2. I love the first Wolf Creek. I love the TV series. I'm super excited for Wolf Creek 3, but Wolf Creek 2 was the perfect balance of horror, comedy, dark comedy, and what I view, like in my very narrow American mind, the Australian outback to look like. And that was all based in sarcasm because I haven't been to Australia. I don't actually know. The first movie was dark, gritty, hard to watch. The second movie just brightens it up 3 shades and brings some comedy and lets the main villain Mick Taylor shine. And it's like perfection. So Wolf Creek 2 definitely deserves this on my list. It is one of my, again, this is one of my frequent plays. I don't own a copy of it, but it is on Amazon Prime or Tubi TV at any given time. So it's always one of the background movies playing, and I can stop and watch for a minute and do whatever I'm doing. Yeah, Wolf Creek 2. Arguably, the first film is a better movie. I had way more fun with the second.
I was looking. I've been having my eyes out for that at the pawn shop. I just have not come across it yet. I'm looking at my list. Kind of spoilers, I guess. I only have one movie on here that's not a part of a franchise.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
I've got a couple.
my next one.
Well, no, I don't. Damn.
Right?
Yeah, I've got 1, 2. Shit. I've got 2, yep. I think.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Well, but I mean, if you got something good, they're going to keep making them. But anyway, my next one is going to kind of contradict a ranking I had. Now, granted, the other movie is better than this movie. I just would prefer to watch this movie more often, and that is the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The first one is a better movie. 1974 is the better one. It's a masterpiece or whatever it is. But 2003 is endlessly watchable. It doesn't make you feel as icky. It's more of a ride. It lets you come up for air. It lets you get invested, where 1974 is just nasty, gritty, white knuckle all the way to the end. And it's, yeah. So 2003's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, everybody hails it as one of the best remakes of all time. It's fantastic. Love it.
It is.
Also, one of the better theater experiences I ever had.
I am still absolutely disgusted by what I thought of that's probably true. Sorry. I'm never going to not think of that whenever I think of that movie now.
Which part? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the wet basement is actually the poop pond backing up, or the septic system. Yeah, that's fantastic, though. That takes that movie from a 10 to a 10.5. Like, that little
right?
bit of, because I always thought, like, why is it so wet? Like, turn the faucet off.
Yeah, dude. I did too, and
yeah.
I was like, dude, that has to be like the septic tank backing up through the house, because there's no way they're on a water system. They're in the middle of nowhere, right. So it's got to be septic, and I haven't had anybody clean it. So that's my thought, and then I grossed myself out with it. So the rest of the movie, that's all I can talk about. Now, anytime I talk about the movie, that's all I can talk about. That's a problem,
dude. You deserve a gold star for that. Like, I've had some ways to fix movies, but that's like a gold star, making that movie, like I said, just that much better.
Yeah, right? Like, I didn't want to, but here we are.
Yeah.
Oh, I can smell it.
Yeah.
So where are we at? 14. 14. I saw this movie New Year's 2013, 2012, I think, maybe 2011, somewhere in there. We were sitting up, me and my now wife, with my mom. We went out, watched some fireworks, then came back and we're watching movies. And I remember thinking it was a weird movie, but it was weird because I'm watching it. My mom had this little 19-inch flat screen TV with terrible speakers. It's the one you saw in my garage.
That's awesome.
That I used in my garage for so long. But I
That's not a
was
flat
like
screen.
actually like nervous throughout the film. Like legit nervous. And that is The Strangers. That
Ooh, so
movie
good.
is the perfect home invasion film. And if you don't feel some sort of dread or despair or worry or something in that movie, I feel like you're not actually connected to horror as a genre, because that, like I said earlier, home invasion and slashers seem more realistic to me, so they get me a little bit more. But that was the perfect balance. And this movie deserves to be higher on my list because of that. But it goes here because the others are films that I just enjoy more. Um, I can't say enough great things about The Strangers. I watch it maybe once every couple of years. I haven't watched it in a little while. I watched Pray at Night again recently. Still not a huge fan. It has some redeemable qualities, but it's just the first movie is far superior.
Pray at Night.
Oh, sorry.
Pray at Night is a hit and miss. Yeah, Deb said she won't watch that one. It's too terrifying, far too real. Deb actually watched Pray at Night because it dials some things down and it dials other things up to where it's more fun to watch. It's more of a love letter to 80s horror movies with some rock and roll.
Yeah.
Watch the second one. If the first one doesn't catch you, that's cool. You know what it is. The second one is its own thing.
Yeah, the second one is way more Hollywood than the first film. The first film is very, very down to earth and realistic. To me, it's almost like No Country for Old Men, but horror. Like it's like that perfect feel for the genre it is. Yeah, I had to put that one on my list, and it just, so few films actually get me the first time I watch them, or any time that I watch them, that I'm actually like on the edge of my seat. That one did it the whole time, and I'm watching this teeny tiny TV, and we're in my mom's room, just like, I'm like this the whole time, like, oh my god.
I watched that with my mom and my brother, and my mom, she likes horror. She's the one who kind of got me into horror, but my brother doesn't. And like I thought originally The Strangers was going to be more of a thriller, and you could kind of argue it is a thriller to an extent, but man, they were messed up, man. They had to call it quits halfway through the movie. They're like, no, I just can't. But I want to say, and I'm not going to trash on your pick real quick because I like The Strangers. I love it. It's a great movie, but I actually think Hush, when it comes to home invasion, Hush, a Netflix movie. It's on Netflix right now. Hush, I think, is a better home invasion movie, but that's just me.
That's fair.
But no.
That's fair. I haven't seen Hush in a while, but it is a fantastic movie. I don't think it has an American physical media release either, which is kind of heartbreaking.
Probably not. Netflix is really bad about releasing its movies on physical media.
Yeah. So if you get the chance, Hush is a really, really good one.
That's just fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Oh my God, from start to finish. My wife, who I can't really get to watch too many slashers or horror movies, whatever, she was into that movie and just thought, yeah, it's just because it pulls you in. It gives it time to build. You like the characters. The villain's fun in a certain way.
It was a smart film. A very smart film.
Yeah. My next one, so my last one, where I told you that the first one is the best, and arguably everybody would probably say that, and then the remake is great also. This one is the opposite, where nobody says the original is the best, and some people say that the remake is the best, and that is the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th. It's fun from start to finish for me. I understand anybody, like, most of the time when people have criticisms of the annoying characters, I can see how that would annoy you. I get that. There's other people that say that the movie is too good in the beginning and then it kind of peters out. For me, I think it had a pretty good flow there in the beginning, and then the reset button's pretty solid. I think that Derek Mears is one of the best Jasons ever, especially for the one performance. I mean, he's phenomenal. Yeah, start to finish, I just enjoy the bejesus out of that. Endlessly rewatchable for me. Some purists that don't like it, I just don't understand. There wasn't a whole lot of thought put into Jason in the beginning. So when you're like, Jason wouldn't do that. I don't know. Jason really got jacked around for the first like 5 or 6 movies he was in. So I feel like this kind of takes the best of the character and throws away the rest. And I can understand that certain aspects would bother you, but really, I don't understand why you get that invested in the original character when it's been jacked around so much. But I love 2003 or 2009's Friday the 13th. Really wish we would have gotten a sequel to it.
Especially when you think about how wacky the Friday the 13th franchise goes. Like, of the films, arguably one of the best crafted is the reboot. Now, when it first came out, a lot of us fans were really mad at it and ranked it the least of the remakes. But throughout time, giving it that air to breathe, it's one of the best. If like, it's right up there with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in my opinion. Yeah, everything he said is absolutely true.
Yeah, I've always loved it since day one. Had a poster in my college dorm room. Had that and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, and it was nice having buddies who worked in the movie theater. But it's weird because it's like my love for that always stayed where it's at. But I actually didn't mind the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. But when everybody just like over the years, they just keep hating it, and it's gotten worse and worse for them. I really don't think it's as bad as everybody says, but it's interesting to watch those, '03 TCM. Everybody's like, man, that's pretty good. 2009's Friday the 13th. They're like, you missed it. And then people initially liked, it seemed like Nightmare on Elm Street, and then it just falls on its face. I don't know. So did '09 technically,
I really
box
didn't
office
like.
wise, but.
I didn't like the Nightmare remake when I first saw it, but I've always defended Jackie Earle Haley as a pick for Freddy. Everything else I did not like, but that was a good pick. I do watch the film for his performance because he is a very, very good Freddy.
Yeah.
That's just true.
Yeah.
All right. So you went with franchise. I'm gonna go with franchise. My next pick is also a remake. Ish. And that is Silent Night. I love this Christmas horror movie. I love it. I love it. I love it. I showed it to John. John absolutely had so much fun with it. It's got some of the coolest kills, an awesome Christmas punk rock soundtrack. It just, like the music that comes on when I want to call him Imposter Loomis, thanks to Wham.
The Malcolm McDowell.
Yes, every time Malcolm McDowell comes on screen, the music that plays is just brilliant. The fact that like everybody in the movie is just full on stereotype that you hate is just great. The way that they play it, like if you do that with a big name horror movie, you're gonna be mad. The film knows what it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It has fun. It's gory, and there are a couple moments that are like, ooh. And the fight, like the third act, is so well done. It's so awesome. Every Christmas I watch this movie. I love this movie, and I will never.
It sometimes jumps the shark a little bit, but it's to have fun. It's not like I watched Jack Frost this last Christmas. That movie jumps the shark every time Jack Frost is on screen, and it's fun, but it's a lot. It really is a lot. But that movie, I feel like every Christmas, Silent Night, you could throw in and have a great time every Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's weird that a Christmas horror movie is in the top 20. But something about certain seasonal horror films just kind of fits. And Killer Santa is awesome. I don't care. This is a great concept. I love it. It's not my... It's my most viewed Christmas horror movie, and it'll probably continue to be that. Yeah.
Christmas horror
Yeah.
is a hidden gem. Christmas horror is like where you go when like you just didn't get enough, you know, in the fall and in the Halloween and stuff like that. Christmas horror is a really nice, I think somebody called it maybe a hangover horror from Halloween. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I watched Better Watch Out. It was on Amazon, and I had a lot of fun with that. There's a lot of fun to be had with Christmas horror.
man. Them paint cans. Whew,
Yeah,
man, that took Home Alone way too far.
yeah, I did. No,
Whew.
that's a fun movie. If you haven't seen Better Watch Out, I almost bought it. It
Yeah.
was $5 at FYE, and I don't know why. I should have bought it. It's good every once in a while. It's not fun enough, I think, for the rewatch, but I don't know. So my next one is the first, I think, slasher I ever saw, and that is Child's Play 2. Child's Play 2 is arguably the best one in the franchise.
Yep.
That has one of the best final acts. It's one of the best remakes. It's one of the best sequels to a horror movie. It's awesome. It's awesome. It has one of my favorite final gals in it. I just it's a great movie from start to finish, and it freaked me out as a little kid.
I have to agree with everything he's saying here. It is arguably, I mean, it came out when I was a kid, so it played through me being a child. I cannot tell you how terrifying the thought of one of my toys coming to life and trying to kill me slowly was, especially with that voice and that look. And Child's Play 2 it's the best in the franchise. It is scary. It's before we got a little weird. It's great. Child's Play isn't on my list. It would be if we extended it out by maybe 5 to 10. And I don't know, man. I absolutely love Child's Play 2. It is a better horror film, but I think I have seen Bride of Chucky way more. I'm more familiar with
Yeah,
it because it embraced that rock and roll culture of the 90s.
yeah.
So I don't know.
It's
I don't
one of
know.
those. Yeah,
That
it could
would
go
be.
either way. But real quick, I messed up on the number on that. My fault. I think that was my actual number 12. I can't remember. What are we on? What were you? What was your last one?
My last one was 13.
So yeah, that would have been my 13 then, right? Because you went first. Yeah, that would have been my 13. My fault.
So you got to switcheroo them.
Um. Well, no. God, man, this list was so hard, man. No, I'm gonna leave it right where it's at. It's fine. I'm gonna leave it right where it's at.
All right. All right. All right. All right. So number 12. And I'm probably going to get some crap for this since I made The Exorcist an honorable mention. And it's not going to be from John. Most likely it'll be from somebody watching this later. My number 12 is The Omen, the original Omen. The Exorcist was a terrifying movie to me when I was a kid, but The Omen scared me 10 times more. Don't know why. Do not know why. It had a much bigger impact. The Omen and The Omen 2, those two movies went hand in hand together for me growing up. I had old, half-worn out Blockbuster and library copies of both. I just recently got the cheaper of the Blu-ray collection, and then I found out that Amazon has the Shout Factory one for $25.99, which sucks for me. But The Omen is a classic. The music, the timing, the creep factor, it's all perfect. The remake misses so much of that, in my opinion. There's a couple really cool things about the remake, but the first one just really drives home what a religious horror film looks like, in my opinion. I am probably in the minority, but I do enjoy it more than The Exorcist.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, similar vibes, but I mean, different movies. So yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Once if a movie gets you, it gets you. Let's see. All right, let's see. Man, I'm kind of shifting things as I'm going. I kind of wish I would not have put that there. It's so hard, man. Like there was so much of this back and forth. I'm gonna put. Oh man. Yeah, it's gonna go here. It's gonna go here. It's moved a little bit. These could shift, but I'm gonna put this one right here. This is 12. My number 12 is Tremors 2.
Yep. Fair enough.
I love the Tremors franchise. I like 1, 2, and 3. Do not like 4. 4 is garbage. 5 when they bring in Jamie Kennedy, and 6 when they bring him in. It's a guilty pleasure, but it's still enough fun. And then this last one, Shrieker Island. It's good enough to watch. It's just not. It's time to die off. But Tremors 2, the first one's a better movie, but 2 is more fun. As a kid, I endlessly rewatched it because it's junk food. It's just you can just keep watching it, and it's just so much fun. It's horror light, but I love it so much. 09, Friday the 13th, 2003's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, better movies, rewatchability. I'm gonna push it up there. Really, it should be behind those, but as far as like what I enjoy, it's up there. Sorry. Switcheroo. If those could switch, it could go before Child's Play 2, or it could go after TCM. Right now, it got bumped up because I love rewatching that movie.
Absolutely no judgment, man. This
All right.
list, I'm sitting here and I'm switching a couple for me, just because I'm looking at and I've done this. I've actually got arrows pointing to
Yeah.
switch a few times. Yeah, I guess this has to fall here. God, this sucks. Yeah, this list, I can't say it enough. It was so hard to make, and I think John
Right.
fell into the same traps that I did. You're just looking at it, and you're like, man.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I try to tell myself, it's in the top 20. Like, besides the top 3, like, it's in your top 20. That says something.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next one for me, number 11, is not just a film franchise that's recently talked about getting a reboot, but also a video game franchise that's recently talked about getting an update to Unreal Engine 5, which please let it happen, and that is Silent Hill.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely love the Silent Hill film. My cousin and I mean, we wore out a DVD of it. It is grotesque. It is disturbing. It holds up. The practical effects are still amazing. CG effects are a little on the wonky end these days, but overall, it is such. It's funny because people talk about the first 2, maybe 3 video games being this weird. I don't know that I want to go this far into the channel, but I'm gonna do it. It's a weird kind of peaceful conversation with the concept of death, because that is the whole Silent Hill thing. Is the person learning about their death, their demise, their loved ones, all that. So it's the music fits the tone, the characters fit the tone, the Silent Hill monsters usually serve a purpose. Like the guy who was bound was the child predator in the film. The pyramid head taking the nurses and doing whatever he wanted, he represented a character just like that as well. It's so deep, and it just, I can't believe that a video game horror movie did that good. The sequel is bad. It is. There's some enjoyability factor for me just because my cousin and I watched it to laugh at it, but it's a bad movie. The first movie is brilliant, and it almost makes top 10. I mean, that's pretty crazy for a 31-year-old movie fan to put Silent Hill as number 11 in their favorite horror movies. I feel like that's where, like, Night of the Living Dead or Return of the Living Dead or something classic should go there. But Silent Hill.
Let's
Ah,
that movie messed
yes.
me up. I watched it in college, man. That movie messed me up because it makes you confront some things, and then it's got some of that like herky jerky, like it just like you're saying, the music, the atmosphere, everything puts you into that movie, and it makes you, yeah, woo, yeah. You get a lot of
Yeah.
love. Yeah, Deb sent some hearts in, said, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh shoot, yeah, yep." Jabari, yep.
Yeah. Silent Hill is the best video game movie and a good horror movie. A lot of critics said it was boring and slow, and I'm like, have you ever played the game? Yes, this. So, I mean, I played 1 and 2. I played a little bit of 3. Of what I've played, of course, 2 is my favorite, even though I know the story behind it, I know all that. But it was just the perfect balance. Um, I want to go back and play the first one. I haven't in so long. Um, and then I got the urge to just want to replay the first 3 entirely and then go on past there. But then I started looking at some videos of the walkthroughs, and they get pretty wonky and bad in a way. But man, and Silent Hill was just, they nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I really think the critics missed what the video games were and missed what the film was going for. And it's also kind of annoying that people who played the games are watching the movie and are mad at the movie. I don't understand it. It took its own risks, it did its own thing, but it also stayed very true to the source material. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Tangent over.
So this is where, in my opinion, we get into like I've had some greats in the past, in the previous list, but now I think this is where they really are top tier. Not just for my love, but just like everybody. My next one is going to be Silence of the Lambs. Um, could be it's between that or Misery was the first horror movie I ever saw, and it was way above my head, most of that movie. But even as a kid, once again with Misery, I knew the depth of it. The characters suck you in. It's just Anthony Hopkins in his best performance, in my opinion, of the well, 2 movies he was in, 3 movies. Sorry, Red Dragon. But it's a masterpiece, start to finish. There's some things in today's world that are problematic for the time, though. I think they were doing the best with the information they had. They were also addressing some issues of its time, and I think it's just it's a masterpiece of horror. It's a horror light. It could be very well argued that it's a thriller. It leans more thriller, but at the same time, like I look at this from my love for horror stems from when I was a child. This freaked me out. To me, as a child, there's no question this was horror. To me, this is a horror movie, and that's where it goes. I love Silence of the Lambs. I like Hannibal, saw that in theaters. Red Dragon, saw that in theaters. The Hannibal, the series, I made it through the 2nd season and loved it. For some reason, lost interest. I need to go back and finish it. I love that. Mads Mikkelsen is a fantastic Hannibal Lecter. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch the series.
Mm-hmm. It's especially graphic for it was running on normal television. It wasn't running on like HBO or anything like that. So I was expecting like a garbage show. No, it's good. I still need to finish season 3, but when I found out it was going to be canceled, I just like lost all interest and was like, man,
I
I
wonder
do
if
know I
that's
need
some
to
of it
finish
too,
it.
to where yeah, I wonder if that's some of it too, that I stopped at season 2 because I didn't want it to end. So if I stopped it myself in a
Yeah,
happy spot where I was happy with where I was at, I would never be disappointed. It's like Kelly, a guy I work
yeah,
with. He never has finished Ash vs. the Evil Dead because he finished the first season and loved it so much. He was like, I know it's over. I don't want it to end. I don't. I'm happy with what I got, and I just never want. And it's interesting. People out there that do that, I'm starting to understand that the older I get.
Yeah.
Samara Weaving
That's
is
a good
Mary.
cast pick.
Samara Weaving. Okay.
That's a good
Yeah.
cast pick. Yes, absolutely with you. That's a good pick, sir. Wow, my next two. I'm only going to say one, but I have to say these two have swapped places over and over and over again. To the point that I'm annoyed. So, my number 10, it's one of the first horror movies that I watched with my mom, and she really enjoyed it because she thought that it was some of the scariest things that you could imagine. There were two movies that I watched with her. One of them isn't on this list, and that's Jacob's Ladder. I need to revisit it. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it. Um, so my number 10 is actually Hellraiser. When I first sat down and watched that movie, I was probably solid 7, 8 years old, which is,
Oh wow.
not gonna lie, by today's standards, way too young. Didn't understand what was going on, right? But that bonding experience with my mom, watching what she felt was her favorite of something, is an experience
Nice.
that stayed with me my whole life. And to the point that I have ever since always had a copy of the first Hellraiser. It's a film that I don't watch a whole lot, but I can always go back to it. I love the movie. It is a strange film. It is strangely paced. Some things hold up, some things don't. Doug Bradley is the horror icon that I think is most recognizable when you hear that voice, next to Freddy Krueger as Robert Englund. And I said what I said.
Yeah, I almost say that Candyman's going to take that though, just because of the recent new movies, kind of sparked everybody's thoughts and I know they're going to reboot Hellraiser. I don't know. I don't really. That's a topic for another day. But yeah, man, Hellraiser. Man, I think I saw it when I was in high school. Yeah, and then that gooey morphing scene in the floor, that messed me up. That's like the stuff of like David Cronenberg's The Fly. Like that is some good nasty. You can hear the bones and the meat and the
Yeah.
juices and the squeaky. Like, oh my god, it lingers once again. It lingers
Clive Barker
just
don't
right.
play.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
Clive Barker
yeah.
don't play.
Yeah, movie might not
Real
be perfect,
quick,
but the great is great.
I just want to talk about real quick, just a 2-second thing. The reboot of Hellraiser coming out. I am really actually excited to see this take on what Clive Barker wrote as a genderless being, which was Pinhead. So originally, and I see so many people throwing a fit saying, oh, they done woked it. No, you didn't read the source material. It would actually make more sense for the original Hellraiser to have more feminine features than masculine. So I'm really excited on this new take because it sounds like it might actually go back to the book. Yeah, so I'm actually right now getting into a little bit of Clive Barker reading in audiobooks, and I'm going to be going towards Hellbound Heart here soon. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens. I know there's a show and a film, and they're not together, and it's almost the Child's Play thing from what I've heard, where one's getting made opposite of the other, and nobody knows what's going on. So
Dude,
we'll see.
I can't wait, and I hope they actually lean in to more of a female Pinhead because tough women, violent women freak me out, and I don't mean that in like an insecure way. I just mean like I don't know, like when I watch the gals fight in a cage match or something like that, UFC or something like I don't know, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I had one girlfriend hit me in the eye with an elbow, and maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but creepy women in horror
Man,
freak me out, and I think it plays really well with Pinhead. I really hope it's there. Real quick on Jabari's never seen Jeff Goldblum's The Fly. I've got the Scream
watch
Factory
it.
box set right here. I cannot, I can't do it. I cannot watch Jeff Goldblum's The Fly, the Fly with Jeff Goldblum, because it freaks me out. It's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen because body horror freaks me out. And you gotta watch it, David and Cronenberg, dude. You gotta watch it. You gotta
It's
watch it. I'm gonna watch it
it's a
someday,
classic.
but oh god, it's brutal. I saw that when I was a
My
kid, and it
my
messed me
brother.
up.
Yeah, I think that was my brother's one of his favorite horror movies when we were kids. And dude, whew, man,
It's a
it's a rough
masterpiece.
scene. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. It is a horror staple, and I am sad that I don't have that box set. I want it, but I haven't
I
committed to
got
it.
I got
Yeah,
lucky and won an eBay auction for 30
worth it.
bucks. I think it's about 75 right now. But so
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, let's see. Sorry. So we are in the top 10 now. Yep, top 10. I just
Yes,
counted to make sure I'm still
you're
good
number
here.
10.
My number 10 is, like I said, I love it. I'm pulled to it. The acting, the cinematography is phenomenal. It's a slow build. It's dialogue heavy. The isolation, I love it. It's awesome. But I do think it's overhyped a little bit. And that's The Shining. I love it. I really do. I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird when I think about it. The simplistic style of the movie, I would almost rather like the fantastical be taken out of the movie, or I want the fantastical to be put more in the movie. I want some more carnage. I want maybe a little bit more thrills and chills along the way. I don't know. The movie gives me a lot. It's just one of those things where I don't know. I love it, but I think it's kind of overhyped a little bit. It's so weird. I don't know why I think that way. I love it, but I do love the miniseries as well, where I think that the movie is a little short. I think that the miniseries kind of fills in those gaps. So, but once again, where I had a problem with Heather Langenkamp in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the kid in the miniseries of The Shining is a mouth breather, and he does it the whole freaking movie, and it drives me insane. Anyway, watch the
I
miniseries; it's
mean,
great.
if you notice, The Shining made my honorable mentions.
Yeah,
It is,
it's so
like I
weird.
said before, it would be way higher if this was an arguably best horror films of all time list versus a my favorites list. Um, that's a solid place to put it. It's what 10 spots higher than me, so
I know it's just
I
it's
can
one of those things
respect
where
it.
I think if you didn't have the actors, the movie falls on its face. Like you have Jack Nicholson in what could be arguably his best performance of his entire career, and you have Shelley Duvall who's just
Shelley
killing
Duvall.
it. The son doesn't do a whole lot. He's okay, but if you don't have those two actors, the movie's it's just nothing. I mean, the cinematography just helps elevate their acting, and it's the saving grace. I do love the subtleties of the movie. There is a ton to chew on. It's one of the first movies, not the first, but it's one of the biggest movies that has depth to it and conversation and people deep dive. So it, I, I don't know. It's weird how much love I want to give it, but then I like talk myself out. Anyway, the Mothman Prophecies. I've been
Is
wanting
there
to see it. I have not. One of the creepier movies, says Matt. I've been meaning to. I've heard only good things about Mothman Prophecies. I just have not seen it. It's on my list. Don't respect the director and
jumping
how he
up,
treated
reserving the
Shelley.
right to make the list? Agreed.
I did,
100%
Jabari. I did
agreed.
mention that earlier too. I was talking about we were talking about The Exorcist and the director there, how he treated the actors. Same thing with Kubrick. Same thing with Joss Whedon. It's but at the same time, he treated Shelley Duvall horribly, right? He told everybody else to kind of shun her, the production team to shun her, and she was like losing her hair and she lost a lot of weight and she like I think she was like almost losing teeth or something like that. She was going through so much stress, making her shoot the stairway scene like 120 times or whatever it was. But what's funny is later on down the road, she said that she respected his work ethic and that she'd work with him again. So it's weird. Like, I guess the proof is in the pudding. I guess like I don't know. Like if you didn't like him, never work with him again. I guess I completely agree with what you're saying. I'm glad she kind of reneged on hating him and would work with him again, even though I don't think she ever did. But yeah, I'm with you. But at least there was some light at the end of that tunnel, I guess.
And just above, he mentioned he reserves the right to make this list till he sees The Fly. Totally fair. Totally
Yep.
fair.
Did I
If I
miss
had
that? Where did I
seen The
miss
Fly more recently,
that? Yep.
it's right
Yep.
above Deb's comment.
Yeah, I see it now. Yep.
If I had seen The Fly more recently, it'd probably be on this list. I
Dude,
just haven't
it's one of
seen it
those.
since I was a kid.
I respect that movie so much, and it freaks me out.
It's
Like it makes
stuck
my
with
screen.
me all these years.
Oh, dude, it makes my skin crawl right now just thinking about it. Like I'm getting tingles in my spine, forehead, like all the way from my spine to my forehead. And like my mom had never seen it, and I was like kind of giddy. I was like, ooh, that kind of gives me a reason to go back and watch it. But I'm almost hesitant because it's oh like I don't do well with
Yeah.
body horror. It's like my worst. Like any kind of melting skin or like really good burn skin or something like that, or like certain morphing scenes in movies, like with Hellraiser like is like the best of body horror in my opinion in that first movie. But anyway, yeah, gotta go watch it, man. Jabari, as soon as you see that, let me know what you think of The Fly. I can't wait to hear it.
Well, here we are, number 9. This one was tough for me. I kept swapping it with Hellraiser, back and forth, back and forth. Um, and on top of that, I also was struggling with almost picking the first entry versus the most recent entry. That is Candyman. And I decided to go with the
Ah,
original Candyman. I love that movie. It is almost the perfect taste of what makes a movie for me. It's so weird because I do understand why some people think it's too slow, it's not paced correctly, yada, yada, yada. I kind of get it. But for me, it just breaks down so perfectly. I like the fact that Helen is an outsider going into an area that she really has no business being in, and that in and of itself is a character of the story. The fact that the Candyman legend is taken both figuratively and practically. The fact that Candyman himself has become this iconic thing that I can't explain it. For so few movies, getting that kind of icon status is ridiculous, especially when you've only got two great movies and one low middle and one really bad movie. Like that's pretty awesome. So yeah,
well,
the
and I
first
think
Candyman is my number 9. God,
in your defense too,
love
like
that
the
movie.
Candyman is more a part of the full story in Candyman as opposed to Pinhead and Hellraiser. Like Candyman's got more depth to it, and there's a lot going on. Where Hellraiser's awesome for the possibilities and for the range that it has. You know what I'm saying? But I think I can see
You
why
you
the
need to watch
quality is a
the
little higher on the Candyman scene. Quality of
well for
story and
that you
everything
need to
else.
yeah. Well, you get more on Hellraiser throughout the sequels, which is saying not a
Right,
lot. But
right.
yeah, no, Candyman is I can't get enough of that movie. It's I love
Candyman
it.
frustrates me so much because it's a movie I want to love, and I just can't get there. I like it, I just can't love it, and it frustrates me because I see all the good stuff. It just doesn't hook me. I don't know. It's so
Yeah.
frustrating. It's so frustrating. I don't. It's on me. I'm wrong. I want to love it. I don't know why it just doesn't catch me. I think it is the slow build, the 45 minutes to get there, and then I don't know. I just don't buy the
It's
chemistry. some of the lore is a little wonky. I don't know. I don't know. Really, yeah, I don't know. I wish the new Candyman would have stood
It's
on its own
strange
legs too. I don't know.
to me. The film is almost it's poetry and almost like painting a picture in the same thing. It's
Yeah,
so well done. It's done in the vein of the original horror, like Dracula, Frankenstein's monster. Like it's got that all those qualities, and it's brought to a semi-modern era, and it's I don't I love it. I absolutely love it.
it arguably has more depth than any slasher before it. Think about it. I think it does. Like you're
Yeah,
talking about Helen, somebody coming out, coming in. You're talking about Candyman, what he's going through, where he's at, where he's been, the lore, like the painting, the poetry that you're talking about. Like an argument could be made it has more depth than any slasher before it. Anyway,
yeah, I'll give you
at
that.
least maybe more thought provoking depth. I don't know. It's just I want to love the freaking movie and it makes me mad at myself. Anyway, um, so my next is going to be it's going to be a remake. It's body horror, and it is The Thing. John Carpenter's 1982 The Thing. Kurt Russell's awesome in it. Childs, I can't remember the actor's name, unfortunately. He's awesome. The whole story, it just gets better with every single watch. I watched it on 4K digital download that I have. I haven't bought the disc yet. I will. My wife was blown away. She just watched it on DVD because that's all I had at the time, and she's just like, this movie's so good. Like she just doesn't get into horror movies, and the whole time she's just like, at the movie was over, she just kept going, that was really good. I really like that. It's one of those movies where you can tell like it really got to her, and she's like, I would watch that again. I was like, yeah, and like I was like, let's watch the prequel, and she it's one of those movies where I think she got everything she wanted out of it, and it was perfect in its own little bubble. She didn't need anymore. I was like, I get that, but the prequel's really good too. So yeah, John Carpenter's The Thing. It's still the gold standard when it comes to special effects or practical effects.
Yeah, I haven't watched, and you gifted me a copy of that too, the prequel. I haven't watched that since it came out. Honestly, every time I think of the prequel, my brain immediately thinks Dreamcatcher, and then my brain thinks I want to rewatch Dreamcatcher, and then I think I remember how much I hated it the first time I watched it, and I don't know why I really want to rewatch it. So yeah,
did not care for Dreamcatcher. Yeah,
I didn't either,
very
but
disappointed.
I think there's something appealing to it, even though it wasn't good. I don't know what that is, and I need to revisit it to see.
I was really on board for those characters though, for like the first half of the movie, and then the movie just it goes straight like C horror movie, and then it just kind of like the actors and everything else just cannot hold it up. It just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's fair. Oh man, number 8. This is the one that I was speaking of earlier. I have 3 choices for this spot in the same franchise, and that sucks. And it's really, really, really difficult to make this choice. But I'm going to burn it down and go with what I watched the most. I'm going to do this twice throughout this list. One and a couple choices. So, Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Ah.
I do not think it is the best of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. Do not take that as that. The best is the original, followed by the remake. I hands down agree with that. But the film that I revisit the most, the film that I get the urge to watch in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise is 3D. It's arguably the easiest to rewatch and digest. It's got kind of a 2000s polish on it that works to its advantage and disadvantage. My second favorite Leatherface is Leatherface in that film. I think Dan Yeager does a perfect job of bringing back what Gunnar Hansen brought to the role. The story's meh. I do like some of the ideas that Adam Marcus pitched, and I dislike what happened to it once it reached the director's hands. I know about the timeline thing, but it is still a cool cell phone shot. I don't care that that scene in the basement with the freezer is a really cool shot. Um, I
Unintended.
liked the idea that they purposely put Billy the puppet as the carnival attraction because
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw was supposed to take the place of the Saw films being released every year, and they had these films mapped out for 3 or 4 more entries. Um, so it was like it was passing the torch. Originally, that scene was supposed to end with Leatherface like killing everybody, which that would have been awesome, which we don't get a scene like that until Leatherface or Texas Chainsaw 2022 with the bus massacre. Um, so yeah, at this point with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I know it's not the best movie. You're right. I am wrong here, but Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Yeah, man, dude, Dan Yeager, like he has that limp, how he carries his weight, and then he's a great build. He just really is. The tie is great. The way he just the way the outfit fits him too. The mask has its issues, but looks great in my opinion. And he has there's subtle character pauses he has thinking wise, like letting the scene play out, just watching him kind of that that innocence, but like he could kill you at any second. He has a really good pace to him. Like he's a very, very good Leatherface. I agree with you there, absolutely. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. Turn your brain off and go watch it. Like the timeline thing should be less of an issue today because cell phones have been around forever for everybody. You know what I mean? Back then, when you're like seeing smartphones come out, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I could see how that would jack you out of the timeline. But like now, it should just feel normal. Like you should almost hardly remember a time back then where cell phones weren't a thing. Cell phones been a thing so long. I don't think it's. I think it's one of those things where it'll start to even out the timeline. I really do. You know what I'm saying there? Okay. But
Yep.
yeah, man,
Nope. I'm with you.
I think that movie's a lot of fun too, and the people that hate it, I just don't understand. I think it's one of those things where I could see you being really upset initially, but once you accept it for what it is, once you understand what happened, I see the great parts of it outweigh all the little nitpicks, in my opinion. But
Yep.
every time somebody complains about something, you are right in your complaint. I just don't care. It's not enough for me to hate the movie. But anyway, let's see my next one. Now
Yep.
this is another fun one. This is horror light, and that is going to be the 1987 Lost Boys. I love Lost Boys. My wife loves it. It's a movie we can watch over and over and over again. It's got just enough of fantastical, just enough of the horror, just enough of the comedy. The brotherhood friendship aspect is great. The romance is okay. The head vampire is one of the best vampires, or well, the second head, but is one of the best vampires on screen. It's a lot of fun. It's very horror light. I love it. I know Caleb isn't a big fan. It's one of those movies too where I think he's kind of on the same boat with me with Candyman, where you can see why other people love it. It just doesn't quite get you. I hear you.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I won't criticize people for loving the movie. Absolutely not. It just didn't catch me. I've tried to watch it multiple times. I don't hate it. I just don't love it either. And I've tried to give it its due, and so many times. I see it, I get it, I understand it. It just doesn't quite hook me the right way. I'm not one
Yep.
of those people who's going to absolutely like try and crap on the movie because of that. It wasn't for me. It didn't work for me. Nope.
Yep.
I'm not saying it doesn't deserve to be on the list either. So that's a solid pick. Oh, my number 7. My number 7 is actually one of the movies. I can remember exactly when I saw it. I was 12, no, I was 11. And my parents finally paid for cable in our neighborhood, like legit cable, where we got like 3 HBO channels, 3 Showtime channels,
Nice.
3 Cinemax channels. We got MTV2. Um, uh, oh God, what was the other channel that was music that played? Oh, Fuse. Was it Fuse?
I don't
I
remember.
don't remember. But we got all those. Um, and I first saw Trick or Treat, not the one with Sam, but the one with like Ozzy and Sammy Kerr and all that. I thought that was a cool movie, and honestly, if this list was longer, that would be on this. But the movie after it, it was like 1 in the morning. I was staying up late. I didn't have school the next day. The next movie that came on was Brain Scan. Dude, that movie messed me up that night. Absolutely messed me up. Have you seen it yet?
No, I've got it. I just haven't seen it yet. I know I've got a Stephen
I
King
won't
shelf going
spoil
on over here.
it. I won't spoil Brain Scan for you just because it's best if you go into it not knowing. But the situation that the main character, Edward Furlong, is put in is absolutely stressful, especially coming from somebody who is around the same age as Edward Furlong as this is happening. It was difficult. It did give me issues sleeping for a few nights, which hadn't happened since I was really little. Um, because it made sense. It fit. That movie to this day is one of my favorites to watch because it was relatable at a time in my life, and just because the way technology is now, it's no longer applicable. The Trickster is awesome. And now, if I used to do back-to-back movies with Trick or Treat and Brain Scan because of that night. I haven't done it in forever. If I ever have enough time to watch 2 movies in a row again, though, those will be my first go-tos because they're just weird horror movies and they play perfectly on each other. So, Brain Scan is my number 7.
Shock 'em Dead starring Tracy Lords. Shock 'em Dead. Nope. It's not
I don't
Shocker.
even know what
Wes
that.
Craven's Shocker. I
Maybe
don't
I
know.
do.
Shock
I
'em
don't
Dead.
know.
That one seems a little bit safer than the hologram one to look up a little bit. Shock 'em Dead sounds a little bit safer.
Google.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So my next one will be, now I feel like I've been talking about this one a lot lately. It made my summer horror list. Like, it just, I'm sorry, I freaking love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is The Ghost in the Darkness. Val Kilmer, Michael Douglas, The Lions and Savo, based on a true story. Like, I know it's loosely horror. I love monster horror. They're both bad movies, says Jabari. Okay, good. Because I don't trick me. I got so many to watch. Let me see the good ones first. But The Ghost in the Darkness, man, it's just one of those movies. It just gets me. It just puts me in the mood, puts me in the atmosphere. It just the vulnerability of those characters, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I love Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas too. Michael Douglas, I feel like is a great actor that I feel like we just didn't get enough of. Like, I just wish he would have done more in his career. He did a lot of stuff. I just wish he would have done more. There's a few actors like Sean Connery in his later career. He did a lot of stuff. I just wish he would have done more. I understand he had a couple flubs there in a little bit, and he missed out on Lord of the Rings that would have like 8 times his income. Like, he would, I think he had like 20 million or something like that. I don't remember, but doing Lord of the Rings would have put him at like 120, like something stupid, but he passed on it. Anyway, I love Ghost in the Darkness. If you haven't seen it, stop what you're doing right now and go out and watch it. I love that movie. Love it.
Absolutely fair. Absolutely fair.
Just gets
I
me.
still need to watch it. You've given me one empty case for the movie and a copy of the movie.
I think I have 2 extra copies. I just give to people. It's like that movie and there's that movie, Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon. I always buy extra copies when I'm at the pawn shop to give people. And oh shoot, the Bill Paxton directed, starring, um, help
Frailty.
me, Frailty. I buy every single copy I can find of that to give to people too. There's like 3 movies where I buy every copy to give it to people.
Dad, you gave me a copy of Frailty. I didn't own it before, but it's a fantastic movie.
I can't help it. Like
that would
it's
be
there.
on
I'm
this
gonna
list
buy
if
it.
it's a little longer.
Yeah, I do love
Yeah.
Frailty. Oh my god.
Solid flick. Number 6. Wow. Nobody can beat an original. Saw.
Oh yeah.
Saw is
Number 6.
my number 6.
Ooh.
I didn't even have to think twice about picking the first film. The later films did take that torture a little bit more than what the first film was. The first film has some things that didn't age well. The first film has a little bit of bad acting, but the first film has this perfect charm to it that just sticks. It's also grotesque in its own way. It looks like every gas station bathroom on I-70. It's just great. And Danny Glover. Man, Danny Glover needs to be in every movie. Every movie would instantly be a hit if Danny Glover was in it. I don't care. That's how I feel. Being introduced to Jigsaw with Tobin Bell, I mean, the voice, Billy the Puppet, all those little things that worked so perfectly. And knowing that it was just a school project that Lionsgate officially one day went, okay, yeah, we'll give you the money to make it. It's crazy. Absolutely
it's
crazy.
weird
That it was a college project that got flipped around.
Yeah, a $1.3 million budget. It's weird that you got Danny Glover and Carrie Elways. Like, it's really strange to me. And I mean, the other actors in it are no, like Tobin Bell. He'd been in stuff too. I'm not trying to take anything away from him there. I'm just saying those are 2 very, everybody can pretty much note them. Like, it's just weird how you were able to get that. And then like the first Saw goes from 1.3, and the latest one goes to $40 million. And I'm like, you don't need to spend money to make a good movie.
Well, I mean, Lee Whannell and Carrie Elways act about at the same level in the movie, so there is that.
It's true. I do feel like they had Carrie Elways for like 2 weekends, and they're like, I don't care, first take, we're taking it. Like, I don't mind his acting, and never, like, the first time watch, I'm so invested in what's happening, I wouldn't even know. You know what I mean? I'm so focused on what's going on. Over time, I could see nitpicks. To this day, I don't mind it. I don't mind their acting. It doesn't bother me.
I don't either.
Okay.
I don't mind it. Don't get me wrong. I do not mind it, but I can see it. I totally see it. Saw, though, it's one of those movies. It came out at the perfect time in my life. I was able to grow with it. I still have my VHS copy of it. And I still have my VHS copy of Saw 2. It just worked. I have always said that the first Saw movie is a great horror movie, and I mean it. It's my favorite twist ending. I know that's a little cliche to say, but it's true. I love the twist ending. Yeah, Saw. Yeah, Saw.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. My next one, oh man, I just have a soft place in my heart. My number 6, 1990 It miniseries. It's a perfect, like, young kid horror. I love the intertwining of the older kids, the younger kids, and how it all comes to climax in the in the second part of the miniseries. It's still to this day one of the best chemistry friendship stories I've ever seen. Like, I believe these kids would die for each other, and I believe they would come back, 27 years later and, fight again to each other and not miss a beat. There's friends you never see that, they still have a piece of you and that are always going to be your best friend, even though you haven't seen them in 10 years, whatever it is. Tim Curry, he gives a performance that's arguably better. I don't want to offend anybody, but arguably better than anything that Robert Englund did. I'm sorry. Like, you can't tell me that Tim Curry didn't do a better job as Pennywise than Robert Englund did in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not going to try. I'm not here to argue with it. I'm just saying his performance for a miniseries, was next level. I'm sorry, he's amazing. His voice acting, his subtleties, the creepiness, the from quiet to loud, dude. The body, dude. No, I'm sorry. I just his performance is phenomenal. Better than Tony Todd. Better than Robert Englund. I mean, I'm sorry. Maybe it just gets me because it got me at the right time. I don't know. I love the 1990 miniseries, and it's weird because I love 2017, but 2019 kind of pulled the first one down a little bit. I still like 2019, Chapter 2. I don't know, man, that first one was strong. The second one is still good. I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, like, I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody. I'm just saying I think that the performance was next level awesome, especially for a miniseries, especially with its budget. I don't know. And I know Nightmare on Elm Street was kind of indie.
I really like
for
the
its time.
miniseries.
I get that.
I really like the miniseries. I dislike the remake from 2017. I really dislike It Chapter 2. I do think Tim Curry is better than Bill Skarsgård. Just because it hit me at the right age. I do not think that Pennywise scared me more than Freddy Krueger or Candyman or any of the other talking horror ones.
No. But I do think that, like, the idea of using your thought, like, for the cutaways and stuff like that, if you watch it as a kid and your mind keeps running, I think that's almost more effective sometimes, especially as a kid, than seeing, like, a slasher. I'm just saying I think that Tim Curry, he has a better performance than Tony Todd, has a better performance than Robert Englund for the voice acting, the character. He has a ton of screen time. And his creepy factor. I mean, Robert Englund doesn't have a whole lot to say in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Tony Todd is great in the original Candyman, but he's not there until 45 minutes into the movie. He's iconic for the time. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I think he doesn't get talked about when it comes to, like, horror icons. I feel like his Pennywise should be higher up. I'm just sorry. I love the miniseries. Maybe it's me blowing it out of proportion.
All right. Well, I judged you on that. You're going to judge me on this. We are now in the top 5.
Burn it down. I know you are.
And there are 3 to 4 right choices for this pick. And none of them are the one that I made in this franchise alone. There are 2 that are arguably the best entries, maybe 3. There's 1 that I could totally see why somebody would put it there. The rest, absolutely no reason at all. And I'm going with a no reason at all, other than I grew up with it. It was the one that I saw the most. I had it on VHS. I have it on DVD. I'd buy a Blu-ray or 4K if I ever update, but I probably won't. And it's going to be Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. It is the movie that got me as far into Jason. Now, I was struggling between Part 8 and Part 3. But if I sit down and think about it, the exposure that I had was majority to Part 8. That opening boat scene is probably the scene that I've seen the most of any Friday the 13th scenes. I had a bootleg VHS copy that I made from HBO or something And then I had another one that I ripped off a copy from, the 2 VCR method from Blockbuster. Um, like Friday the 13th Part 8 is probably the most viewed and most loved by me. If I were to say what is the best Friday the 13th, my argument goes to 3. Most people's goes to 4 or the remake. And I see why. But this is a personal list. I would be lying to myself if I put any other film than Friday the 13th Part 8 here.
Wow, dude. I mean, I'm glad you like. That's the thing is, I'm almost jealous. I wish I liked the turds of certain things more, so that way it's all gravy. You know what I mean? If you like what everybody else hates, and arguably the other ones are great too, then you're good to go. I get it. Whoa,
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. Um, yeah, I'm not editing this, so I'm just gonna leave it there. All right, so my number 5. We're in the top 5 here. It's gonna be The Predator. 1987's Arnold. Man, Carl Weathers is awesome. You got the Body Venturas in there. I mean, just all the dudes, all the characters. The Predator's awesome. The jungle setting, the music, the camaraderie, the bromance, the violence, the horror of it is great. Like it's awesome start to finish. Like it just does nothing but cranks it up all the way to the end. It's fantastic. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's amazing. I love Predator. I know that's horror light, but dudes are skinned upside down. I mean, like people are getting cut in half. Like, I mean, it's if you were in that situation, it would be horrifying. I understand it's horror light, but it's in the horror family. I don't know what to tell you. Horror is in its DNA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely agree. I thought about putting Predator and Terminator in this list, and I just couldn't make myself do it. I don't know. If we ever get to sci-fi, I'm sure you'll see those two towards the top of my list, if not the top 2 picks.
Terminator
But
has horror in its DNA, but it doesn't. It's a machine, so it's a monster, but it's more sci-fi than horror. To where I pulled it out. It is a horror movie, but it just didn't make my list. It should be in there, but I couldn't put it in there. It just didn't quite fit. I wouldn't argue with you if you said it is horror, though.
Yeah, like I completely respect both being in the list. They just didn't quite make mine for, kind of an internal argument that I had with myself about qualifying for horror. But
right.
No, I wouldn't argue with you for Predator or anybody for Terminator. Well, number 4. God, this one's gonna annoy John that it's in my top 5.
Oh my God.
It's gonna break him. Absolutely. This is the anytime horror movie. If John thinks really hard, he'll know exactly what it is. I watch it a lot. A lot.
God, do not put Freddy's Dead.
I love every moment of this movie.
Do not put Freddy's Dead in number 4. Don't do it.
That is House of a Thousand Corpses.
Okay. Whew. Okay. I got a little nervous there. I'm okay. I feel like I'm coming down. I made it much worse, and now I can accept it.
I love Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. There's not a dull moment in the movie for me. It is totally a risk-taking movie. It took forever to get made because studios kept turning them down. It is the light version of the original script. Rob Zombie hates the movie that he made. I love it. It's great. It's entertaining. Sid Haig, I mean, come on. Bill Moseley, it's so awesome. And I will watch that movie anytime. Anytime. If somebody told me, hey, we're going to come over, want to watch a movie, is it cool if we watch House of a Thousand Corpses? No question. Yes. Let's do it.
I
Absolutely.
wonder I wonder if anybody has had the same amount of screen time as Sid Haig in that opening scene and is more iconic. Like, I would put that opening scene with Sid Haig up against almost any horror icon for that amount of time. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, because then it goes away. It doesn't come
Yeah.
back to him for a while. Uh, so yeah, I mean, it's he's mind blowingly good in that opening scene. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like seeing Chop Top for the first time in the radio station in TCM2. Like that's like a little 10-minute thing of epic, and it's like I'd almost like to put that little 10-minute on screen to like up against each other, like yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I overhyped
Yeah.
myself, so I'm kind of stunned. I'll take that over Friday Part 8, but yeah, no. Okay, I'm okay with it. Like it would have been worse had you not made it, hyped it up so much. But I'm still scared for 3, 2, 1. Oh God. Oh God. Quality is out and my favorites are in. Yeah. All right, I respect it though. All right, man. I'm not gonna burn it down. My number 4 is a safe number 4. I feel like my number 4 is the 1978 masterpiece John Carpenter's Halloween. I don't care. People can nitpick it to death, and they can say that it's starting to age and all this other crap. I don't want to hear it. It's a masterpiece. Done. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the greats. It will always be one of the greats. And it's sad that if it's actually reaching a
Absolutely.
generation that is thinking it's a little slow or whatever else, like you're missing it. You're just missing it. But no, yeah, it'll probably always be the best Halloween. Like it'll probably always be one of the best
Yeah.
slasher movies. Like it just is. Like it'll always probably have one of the best. Like I would probably say Jaws has a better theme to it, but also Jaws came first. Like I feel like even Terminator owes a lot to Halloween. If you look at how the Terminator moves, like if you look at like 81, 1978's Halloween, like if you like to hear the music from Jaws to Halloween and then you watch Terminator, like you can kind of just feel that darkness, that grimy John Carpenter feel. Like it is
Yeah.
responsible for Friday the 13th and all sorts of other stuff, but I do think every time Halloween is talked about, I think that Psycho and Black Christmas should also probably be talked about, because if you talk about the epicness and the masterpiece that is Halloween, it wouldn't exist if there were a couple. You kind of say this masterpiece, and then you need to kind of tip your hat to a couple that made that one possible. The same thing I just did with Terminator and yeah, from Jaws to the progression. I just feel like sometimes, like, yes, it's a masterpiece, but it also is jumping off of some of the awesomeness of this other stuff. Anyway, sorry. I'm just trying. It's hard to talk about Halloween
Yeah.
because everybody's talked about Halloween. How can I not say that it's epic and then just gloss over it? You know what I mean? You almost want to say it's Halloween, it's epic, done. But
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
We did a commentary on it. Love it. I would watch that movie again and do a commentary any day. Like it's so good. But it's actually,
Oh, absolutely.
the more we talk about it though, dude, like you talked about how like some movies don't need to be upgraded, and they actually like 90% of the movie looks better quality wise, but then you lose some of that like hiddenness, the hidden characteristics, the hidden things that make it a little bit better. Like sometimes seeing the mask a little clearer, you don't really want to see it. Like sometimes seeing the shadow coming in and out of shadows. I think you're right. I think that it's hard to make a high def old school horror movie and then bring it up. You know what I'm saying? I think you are right. I really do think that you should upgrade, but hang on to your old
Yeah.
copies. I really do think you're right.
Yeah. No, Halloween is the perfect example. Every time I look at like screen grabs from like VHS and then all the way up to 4K, I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's crisp, it's pretty, but that's not the original Halloween. Like that's like Halloween Kills. Like that's a whole
Yep.
different spectrum.
Well, it's nice that
Well,
at least the
we're in
Halloween
top three.
1978. Oh, sorry. It's real nice that the Halloween 1978 4K comes with a DVD with the original color timing. So you do kind of have options at least with that. You got the Blu-ray DVD and 4K, so it gives you some options. But anyway, go ahead, keep going. My bad. Number 3, top 3.
Yeah. No, you're good. That is good. Number 3, top 3. It's weird because I didn't get to actually see this movie for years after I knew it existed. Um, I want to say I was 10, maybe, and this movie came out. It was like a best of type movie. It's called Boogeyman, and I
Oh
really
yeah.
want to buy another copy because it was just like little 2-minute pieces of different horror movies. You know, there was some Friday the 13th, some Halloween, Child's Play, Leprechaun, you know, all the bigs. And then a couple movies that people weren't as familiar with. You know, middle grade would be like Wishmaster, and then some titles that people hadn't really heard of. Well, one scene in there always made me curious. And years later, I want to say 2013, I finally got to see the movie. So let's see, that was 2000 to 20, that's 13 years, roughly, give or take a year, that I didn't get to see this movie after I was introduced to one scene. That film is called The Ugly. It is a New Zealand horror film. It is
Wow.
a psychological horror movie that deals a lot with mental struggles and with characterization of a serial killer. And it does such a good job of making the duality of one character, the killer, seem so genuine. Um, I knew it was going to be in my top 3. It really almost went to the one spot, but the other two just when we get there we'll discuss it. But The Ugly, I didn't get to see it till about 2013. I then looked for an American copy, which was ridiculously hard to find. Like, nobody had an American copy. Finally, of all places, Amazon had a Region 4 copy, I believe. And I went ahead and bought it. And then I bought a Region Free DVD player. And God, that was 2017, 2018 that I got all that stuff. So this movie, getting this movie in my collection is the longest story of getting a film in my collection. And I would love to have an actual U.S. copy if I could ever find one. I still to this day haven't found one. I've kept my eyes open. I've checked Amazon. I've checked eBay. I've checked the like DVD buy, sell, and trade groups, and nothing. All of them are different regions, and
What's the cover look like?
I love this movie. Let me grab it real quick, right quick.
Because The Ugly just sounds familiar. It's like I feel like I've looked at it at the pawn shop, but I could be wrong. I'll be sad if it was there and I just passed on it. Ugly. No. Okay. No. Dang. Dang. Well, apparently, yeah, I need to get on that.
Now, this is the other region, of course. I think that the U.S. release, yeah, because everything is in French on the front, I believe. The U.S. cut, I believe, was his whole eyes, and they're like in black, almost like pencil, and then the writing is in blood, and it says The Ugly, and it's all like white background, black around his eyes, blood with the title. I cannot, for the life of me, find an American copy. So if you are watching this and you happen to have a copy that you want to get rid of, let me know, because I may be wanting to take that off your hands.
The Ugly. Man. All right. All right. So I'll have to get on that. It's gonna be tough though, but yeah, I'm always scouring, so at least that'll help me look for it too. All right, man. My number three is, man. I talk about it a lot. I love this movie. I've got it on Blu-ray, and surprisingly, I've never watched it yet. I've had it for a little over a year. The extended cut is the only way to watch this movie, and that is Aliens. One of the best horror sequels of all
Yep.
time. I love it. Everything in the first movie, well, it does its own thing in the second movie, but everything is just better. It's just great, start to finish. Love all the characters, love all the actors. The practical effects are still there. The horror is still there. There's a little bit of comedy in this one. It just takes you on a ride, and it just is so great. 80s sci-fi action, like it's the best of its genre. It's one of, like I said, one of the best sequels of all
Yeah.
time. It's like the mech suit, get away from here, you bitch. Like it's so good. It's so good. The queen alien is so
Yeah.
awesome with like the breath coming out, man, and the like creepy extra wiggly tail with the extra little pointy flipper, like the face hugger in the little med bay thing. It's just it's a masterpiece. I freaking love Aliens. I can't
Yeah.
wait to watch it again. Like I just need, but it's long. It's like, and I cannot stop when I watch it. That's a movie I can't watch in parts. I have to give it its due time. I have to respect it. I have to let it come over me like a warm, happy blanket. God dang, do I love Aliens. I really wish we would have got a sequel to that movie 3, 4, 5 years ago, whatever it was in production. Super sad. Super sad. Nothing has ever come close to Aliens in that
Yeah.
franchise.
Man, that is a super solid pick. I know we've talked a little bit about where I land with Aliens, with the Alien franchise. Um, I do enjoy it. I love it a lot. I didn't think to add it to this list. If I were to rank it, it would at least be in the top 50. Um, but it definitely doesn't make a top 20 for me. But I totally respect it, and I see why. Which, now that we're to the top two,
Don't do it. Do not
my
put
number
Freddy's
two is
Dead in
Halloween
top 2.
1978.
Oh, okay.
It's iconic. Yeah, the original Halloween. I mean,
Yeah.
it is arguably one. I mean, look, I love every entry except for Halloween Kills, which I just bought. And I'm working on that. I want to become more familiar with it. Like John and I said before, it might work its way up. Overall, it's hot garbage. But the original film is a horror masterpiece. It just is. Um, that is how I was introduced to Michael Myers. That is how I was introduced to my favorite horror franchise. I do watch other entries more, but that one is my favorite. It just is. Absolutely. So yeah,
Yeah,
the original
it's
Halloween.
it's one of those things where it's so perfect that sometimes having a little imperfection, sometimes having a little bit more fun in a Halloween movie, sometimes, there's certain things that for some reason it's just like, I know that's perfect. I know it front and back. I want to go watch this for the Looney Tunes or for the, whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's quirks. And, like Halloween 2 is more bloody and it's got a little bit, you know what it is. Anyway, yeah, I totally understand there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Masterpiece. Um, my number two, I don't want to hear it. It's so funny. Like some that hit with me don't hit with you at all. It's hilarious. And some that hit with you don't hit with me. It's great. But my number two is what started the summer blockbuster. It's what put Steven Spielberg on the map. It's the 1975 Jaws. Without Jaws, you don't have Halloween. I'm pretty sure. I'm just gonna say that probably. Without Jaws, you don't have Halloween. Without Jaws, you might not have a ton of movies we have today. Once again, it's the character piece of the three guys on the boat with the stories, with the drinking, with the danger, the isolation. I love that kind of stuff. I love monster movies. It's a movie that, like, a lot of the horror, most of the horror takes place during the broad daylight, like broad daylight. It shouldn't scare you. It shouldn't captivate you as much as it does. It's shot beautifully. It's masterpiece. It's kind of like it kind of feels like a little bit like Halloween, where it's like, it's not that they had the budget, but they had to work in certain constraints, and those constraints made the movie better. It's like, what is it? There's a saying about necessity and creativity with being creative with less stuff. I can't remember the saying now. I feel bad for I shouldn't even brought it up. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's a masterpiece. Uh, I understand that it is aging, but it's a masterpiece. It's Jaws is my number 2.
Fair. Huh. I wonder what your number one's gonna be. Well, number one,
It's got to be a
I did
nightmare.
have two.
It's got to be.
I did
It's
have
gotta
two
be.
picks for this. And John's gonna have a heart attack the longer that I wait to reveal what my number one all-time favorite horror film is. And it's really weird because it was a close call with my top 3. The original Nightmare on Elm Street is my number 1.
Okay. I feel the pressure coming
Now,
off of me.
that said, the nostalgia and the family experience behind Freddy's Dead is something that cannot be equated to what this movie is. Because of those memories, Freddy's Dead will always take that place for me, but the first Nightmare on Elm Street is the best. It is my personal favorite of the franchise, and it just works on so many levels that other horror films didn't until that came out, in my opinion. Robert Englund is terrifying in that movie. The thought of, like John and I were talking about, I think it was last time we were live or time before, where like the one safe place that you have is in your sleep, and Wes Craven took that from you. That's freaking awesome. I see a lot of people say that they like part 3 more than part 1, sir. Man, I don't even rank part 3 in my top 3 of the franchise. Well, we might get there one day. But the original is absolutely my favorite. It is before we gave Freddy his full comedy. He does have a funny bone, but it is a very dark funny bone.
It's very dark.
And I'll still say it, part 2 Freddy is the scariest Freddy. But something about the first Nightmare on Elm Street, I like that the sweater is more dingy and the sleeves don't match, and I like that they keep him in the shadows because the makeup's a little weird. Yeah, the pants are too big for him. The hat, it fits this nightmare-esque look. Whereas with the later films, it's almost too polished in a way. Now, that said, I do thoroughly love all of the films in the franchise, but he looks too Hollywood. Whereas in this film, he does look like something from a nightmare.
I gotta.
That's my number 1.
For all intents and purposes, Nightmare on Elm Street is a masterpiece. I mean, the first one. I know the end scene with the dog going through the window. I get that. I understand. But for all intents and purposes, it's a masterpiece. Just for what it is. Whether or not like I said last week with Final Gals, oh my God, the mouth breathing thing kills me. But I think I'll lean with Jabari for part 3 just because it's got more characters I like, I think. But like you were saying about Freddy, I like the look of Freddy in 1 a little bit better. The mask that they use in 3, like if you look at the neck, especially in high definition, it really folds like a mask right in the neck. And the center of the shot for torso to forehead, Center is kind of the throat, and a lot of it just, for some reason, it just rips me out of the movie. Once again, talking about going to high definition, I know a lot of people want a better Blu-ray of the franchise. They want 4Ks. I don't know how you increase the high definition, but also keep because yeah, like the longer they go, the more they put Freddy in broad daylight. And I think that they would have benefited as the franchise went along if they would have kept him in the shadows, especially because, yeah, you're working with makeup and prosthetics and blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah, man, number one, I would not argue with that. It is a masterpiece. The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise doesn't hook me the way it does other people, but I totally get the love for it because he's one of the big three. He's arguably the king of horror, Freddy. It's just, he's not my favorite, but I give him the respect he deserves. Yeah, my number one should probably be my number two, because I think I love my number two more than my number one, but my number one is just, it just fits all the boxes for me. It's still a little scary. It's got comedy. It's fun. Love the characters. It's one of my favorite horror franchises, even though the franchise is starting to run into a wall, and that is Scream by Wes Craven. We both have Wes Craven as our number one. Yay! I love Scream. Jaws should probably be my number one, but I love Scream. Did you freeze or okay? It's right after I watched Child's Play, which was my first slasher. I would say that Scream is probably the second one I saw. Followed by I Know What You Did Last Summer, and so on and so on. So, like, Scream has just been there. I've told this story before, but Scream, I watched it with my brother and his girlfriend. We watched the whole thing. I was probably 10, 12 at the time, somewhere in there. Anyway, my brother gave me a couple dollars. He said, hey, he was in the little dorms that had, like, little houses. There was 4 little pockets to the house. They had sidewalks. He's like, hey, go here and turn there and go there and get us some Dr. Peppers. He probably just wanted to make out with his girlfriend for a couple minutes without me there. But I go and get the pops and come back, and I get lost. Can't find my way back. I look over. There's a dude smoking, and it's raining, and he's in a black raincoat. And I'm like the dude, it freaked me out as a kid seeing that and he had, like, the cigarette was, like, kind of glowing his face, but you couldn't see his face, dude. I had to knock on some random dude's door to get me back in there, and I was so pissed at my brother. I love the original Scream for as great as it is. It just once again, you could say it's kind of that junk food horror where it's comfortable. You know what you're getting yourself into. You know you're gonna have a good time. It fits all the boxes. Like it fits a lot of moods that I can be in. I think Jaws is obviously more iconic and more prestigious, maybe, but I think Scream is a solid number one. Jaws could be my number two. I hold Jaws and Aliens higher, but Scream is just, like I said, it's that junk food horror that it's just so comfortable to go back to. I just wish just wish the franchise could hang on. I hate that it's frustrating that we both did not like Scream 5. It's sad. But anyway, guys, I do have a number one, and it's Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, I like the detective movies, especially ones that go dark. 7 would be up there as well. I do love 7. 7 could definitely be in a horror list. It leans more thriller, but definitely is on there with horror, man. Yep. Yeah, solid pick for Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs was on my list, but it was a little bit further back. I do love that movie, man. If you guys are watching this in the future, if this is where I edit it, thank you so much for watching. Do all the YouTube stuff. We really appreciate it. I want to cover a couple more things real quick. I want to springboard off of Scream, and I want to talk about the drama that is Scream 6 real fast. I have some thoughts. Everybody's been talking about it nonstop. It's had a little bit of time to breathe. I want to get Caleb's opinion real quick. Get my opinion on it, and then Caleb, I want to hear yours, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Just like the original Scream, goddamn 30-second delay. So apparently Neve Campbell is out for Scream 6. It sounds like she's done forever because of her little goodbye speech. Money talks, she'll be back, just like Jamie Lee Curtis probably. But there's a lot of like things going on of everybody talking. Jamie Kennedy did his video. A lot of people are talking about it. Matthew Lillard, scary because I was always wanting him to come back as Stu. He came out and full out called out Paramount for being sexist based on the pay. Once again, I have no idea. I don't know what actors make. I don't know what your time is worth to your time to the franchise. I just want to say that from it seems like they wanted her for a small part in 6 and a bigger part in 7, so they were going to give her a little bit of money. I don't know if that was enough. She didn't think it was. You know, if you're just trying to use her to get by cheap so you can then cash out later, I get why she might be upset with that. But what we know is this. They offered. She said no thanks. She's not in it. You can cry all you want or you can move on, in my opinion. Like, I'm actually kind of excited to see what Scream can be moving forward. Like, I love the original cast. To me, Scream is Sydney. Scream is the good guys. It's the characters. It's not Ghostface. It's the characters. So I know I'm kind of I know I'm kind of going against what I'm saying, but like I think it's better if we respect what's happened in the past and move on. I don't want us to just bring back characters to kill them off because we have them, we need to use them, we want to move on, but we have to kill them. I think it's best to just move on. I think everybody's speculating. You don't know, you weren't there. Even Jamie Kennedy speculating, like, you don't know, you weren't there. She said no, she's not going to be in it. Let's move on. I think take the good with what we can get out of it. I love Sydney Prescott. She was in my final girls, but I think that's where I land on it. Let's see real quick. I think they were trying to weed out the old cast. I think so too, and I think that they were trying to get by cheap. I think they only wanted her maybe for a little. And if they only wanted her for like a weekend shoot or 2 weeks or whatever it was, and they were only going to give her a little bit, there's some validity to that. Like, we don't want to pay you a lot because we don't need you for a lot. If she feels like, hey, I am the face of the franchise, I need to be in it more, well, then we're disagreeing. All I know is she's not going to be in it. That's okay. Let's move on with life. What do you think, Caleb?
Personally, I didn't like Scream 5 enough to really care about this news. Um,
Some
I
spoilers, possibly.
think, I mean, ultimately, no, I'm not gonna spoil it. The script, depending on what it called for Scream 6, if it's a quick shoot, whatever, I get it. I do. And if they did insult her with like a low number, I also get it. Her not wanting to come back for this, for a quick shoot, or for too low, or what have you. Because when those offers come, usually that means they're going to kill off the character. Um, and if you're going to do that, she's like, no. Which, I mean, in one way could make it that we get to see her again in maybe Scream 7 or something like that. Whereas if maybe, I don't know. Personally, I think that it was an insultingly low number because they were planning on killing her off. With her saying no, I feel like that's them leaving it open to, well, okay, we're not going to kill her off. She's just not going to be in this one. So maybe it opens up to her being in another one. I don't know. I was exhausted by all the articles that I saw on it, and I was just like, I get it. I mean, it really is, what is your time and your effort worth?
Right.
And if you are technically the face of the franchise, I mean, you would think that the offer would be enough to accommodate that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I just, as long as Sydney is the franchise, I 100% agree with that. She's the face of it. She holds it up. Pick for something new. I love her. I just, if she's come out and says, I don't want to be a part of anything that's going to kill me off, we've seen it. She's she's had her arcs. She's had her stories. I don't know if the character has that much more to give other than her life in the movie. So I also want something different. I want some twists and turns. I want you to think outside the normal Scream formula, which I don't think you're gonna. Like, and to me, that says you're gonna go outside the formula because you kind of have to now. Like, I take the positives out of it because I have no control.
Yeah.
I get what I get, and I'm going to make, lemonade out of lemons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Some people are just getting so upset, boycotting the next movie, all this other crap. I was just thinking, man, like, you don't know. Like, it's hard to speculate and really give your opinion and get nasty about it when you don't know because you weren't there. You have no idea what her time is worth. You know what I mean, or whatever else. I don't know.
Yeah,
People just going nuts. But another thing I want to talk about real
yeah.
fast
No,
is
I agree.
Netflix greenlighting 2 more Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Super super excited. I know you are. I just wanted to talk about that real
Oh yeah.
fast. Yeah. Any hopes or dreams for the new movies on Netflix? Anything you want to see, or are you just excited to the possibilities?
I'm excited at the possibilities, especially with the end credit scene. Um, a spoiler with him walking back home. Um, I want to see what that entails. Is somebody from the family still there? Does Leatherface have to take over his home from somebody who took over the house after everything that happened? Maybe there was somebody still in the house who gave away their parental rights to him, which is how he wound up in that boys' home. I think there's a little bit of story there, which could be fun. Again, I see so many people hating on Texas Chainsaw 2022, but thinking about it, having so low of expectations coming off of Leatherface 2017, that movie just nailed it. It did everything Halloween Kills did, but with low expectations, whereas Halloween Kills did everything that it did with superiorly high expectations. So I give the lead to Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I had no clue that it was actually going to make an entertaining film. I had very, very low expectations, but I had high hopes. And I was genuinely surprised with what we got. I don't think it'll keep that fire for another 2 movies. I think we'll see a decent sequel and then a pretty bad third, most likely. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my guess.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw is definitely a hard franchise to make a franchise. Like, it's very like it's loud. You know what I mean? It's not like Michael Myers quietly going in there and doing things or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's a chainsaw. He's tearing people up. He's torturing people. They're eating
Yeah.
people. Like it's loud. Like he's doing damage and being loud about it, kind of thing. If that makes sense. Like, yeah, it's a kind of a
Yeah.
family that's it's kind of like certain horror franchises that they're on a killing spree to where how do you keep it going when they never stop? Yeah, I'm excited mostly for the
Yeah.
unknown. I'm excited from what I saw. If they get a similar team back and keep the same vibe going, I'm down. I think that there's things that they're going to hear to do better on the next movie. So I'm super excited. Thank you. I can't wait. Hopefully, I get a physical media release of
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw 2022 because I loved it. Last thing, real quick, then we're gonna get out of here. I just wanted to go over some movies I got. Did you buy any new movies?
Yes. Let me grab them real quick. Whee! Uh, Yeah, there we go.
All right, all
Well,
right, go for it.
how many do you have?
One, two,
All
three,
right. So
four.
first,
Go ahead.
I got 4. Ah, nice. First is Behind the Mask: Rise of Leslie Vernon. Um, it was $5. I finally added it to my collection. Worth every penny of $5. I would like to get the collector's edition on Blu-ray someday, but this will do for now. Um, Mercury Rising, Alec Baldwin, and of course Bruce Willis. I remember loving this when I first saw it. I have not seen it in a very long time. I am looking forward to revisiting it. Um, yeah, no, this was $4.50 for a
Nice.
Blu-ray. Yeah, sure, I'll take it. Um, Speaking of hatred, finally got Halloween Kills. It was $10, which is why I bought it. Um, I
Okay.
have scrolled through my highlights reel already. No, Blu-ray, DVD, digital.
Okay, cool.
Um,
I love
I
that.
have
I
scrolled
love
through
that
my
art though.
highlights already, all of his kills. Oh yeah, it's really good art. Um, I still have so many problems with that movie. And finally, the movie I am most excited to revisit whenever I get a couple of hours. This movie I used to pass on the shelves of Blockbuster, Hollywood Video all the time. It went under like three different titles. It was extremely expensive on the market because it's out of print, and that is Hemoglobin or Bleeders. There's a third title, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. It's a very, 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 very strange movie. Um, I remember the end scene from it, and that's about it. Um, After I dug a little more into it, I think the story's kind of more gross out than I remember. But then again, I was a kid when I saw it, so. But yeah, Bleeders. I'm really excited to finally get to revisit this one because it's always been in the back of my mind, and it's just been forever since it came up. Yeah.
I've heard about it. I've never seen that for sale, but actually, I threw them. I threw the movies. My bad. I actually had more than four, but I'll shoot them real quick. So, let's see. I think and now my bad if I already brought this up before, but it was a couple weeks ago. Godzilla King of the Monsters on uh, 4K. I enjoy the movie. It's gonna look awesome on 4K. We'll see. I've seen it on high definition, but not ultra high def. Species. I already have this. I have the Shout Factory or the Scream Factory, but I bought this one because I might resell the other one, or I might sell this one. I don't know. Got it for super cheap. I think I got it for like $2. Bunraku. If you love action slash, if you like 300, if you like Sin City, if you like Spirit, stuff like that, you're gonna like this movie. Josh Hartnett's in it, along with Woody Harrelson and I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Ron Perlman and Demi Moore. I love this movie. Love, 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 love Bunraku. It's a great action thriller-ish. It's great. I can't believe I didn't own it, but I got $5 FYE. I got a discount on it. But Arachnophobia. I can't believe I didn't have Arachnophobia. It's classic. Had to have that. Okay, man. I'm gonna fire these off real quick, man. I had to. $5 each completes my Hatchet collection. Yeah,
Nice.
they were in the $5 bin,
Nice.
but I was like, $5 each, you can't beat that.
Yeah, no.
The original Amityville Horror was the Margot Kidder and James Brolin.
Nice.
Can't wait. I haven't seen that since it's probably been 20 years. Never seen this, kind of sad to say. Pet Cemetery 2.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't wait to see it. Another sequel, Grown Ups 2. I love the first movie. Never seen the second one. Goofy comedy. Love it. Love the actors.
I didn't even know there was a second.
Yeah, yeah. Escape Room. Got it for, I think it was 50 cents, $1 from the pawn shop. I haven't seen it yet, but the digital actually was in here and it worked.
Nice.
And then Frank Langella, I can't remember his name, my bad. But the Dracula classic.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think this was $4, $2, somewhere in there. I think that's it for now. But yeah, some really good pickups. I was like, I can't believe I finished. I'm so happy to have all the Hatchet movies. They had 2 and 3, the ones I needed. I was so happy about it.
Man, I'm sad that Hatchet 3 is the only one that I own on DVD because the Blu-ray was still like $24.99 when I bought the $10 DVD.
Oh man, dude, the first movie is the only one I have on DVD.
Fair.
Yeah, that kind of sucks, but yeah, hey guys, if you watched it all the way to the end, we really, really appreciate it. Let us know down some of your favorites. Give us the 20. Give us as many as you want. I'll read through all of them, man. Burn it down like Caleb or play it safe like me. We want to see it. Let us know what you guys think of Scream 6 and your hopes and dreams and negatives, your thoughts on that. Let us know about the new Texas Chainsaw Massacres. Have you bought any movies lately? Let us know down below. Make sure and do all the YouTube stuff. Make sure and like, comment, subscribe so you can get some more on our. We will see you later. We are out of here.
Peace.